welcome to the No Name Yet. And then I'm going to edit in. It's kind of like a punk track underneath
Okay.
it. It starts out with drums and then it kind of gets the front of the show going, but we just don't hear it right now.
You don't hear it? I hear it very
Oh, you do?
well.
Okay.
Sorry. Having hearing issues?
All right. All right. 3, 2, 1. And welcome to the No Name Yet podcast. That is the podcast with no name. And on today's show, the first show done in studio is the woman who does plays so far out in the country you need a horse and carriage, Robin Suitor!
Hey, it's awesome to be here.
It's great for you to be here. Yeah. I think the last time we saw each other when you were doing a play.
Yes, apparently that you needed a horse and buggy.
A horse and buggy to get to. Yep. The rain was going this way. Yeah.
Yep.
And
that was in West Sand Lake, New York, just for people who think that it was really somewhere like there weren't even dirt roads and anything. But yes, I could see it was some tricky weather, and it is very dark out there.
It is very dark.
Lights,
yes.
Not when you're used to being like a Schenectady city boy.
Right,
makes it tricky.
Yeah, with street lights. And,
yes.
Yeah, sidewalks.
Right.
Civilization.
Exactly.
And, yeah, right. And do you remember what play that was?
That would have been Fools, Neil Simon's Fools.
Okay.
That was in November of 2022.
Okay, it was that long ago.
It was, because I did one in February of 2023, Barefoot in the Park, another Neil Simon. But
I did not see that.
You weren't available for that one.
Yeah.
That would have been harder because it was winter then, so I don't know how your horse does in the winter.
It was at the same location?
It was at the same location.
Oh, that might have been tough.
Yeah, but I could see, maybe that's why you're like, oh, I'm not available, like you were, but you're like all the way out there.
Oh, I would have driven out of
with a plow and all that kind of stuff. Would have sent a plow for you.
So this is really a very special occasion for me. This is one of my favorite people in the world. And we haven't seen much of each other in the past few years, but we used to be part of an improvisational comedy troupe called Just Good Friends. And Robin and I used to end up doing a lot of scenes together.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
We did.
And I know that my parents were very big fans of our scenes.
Yes, well, of course.
Yeah.
As opposed to my mother, who would say, I notice you're the one with the most vulgar mouth, somehow that words.
You were the most vulgar.
Yeah, I know, but I guess maybe the show she saw. Although I remember even one time when we did a show, it was at St. Rose was the venue, and I believe one of your grandmothers was there, and you told me I was her favorite. So either she liked potty mouth comedy, or I was more under control that night.
No, I remember. Yeah, my grandmother did like you. Yes. Yeah. I can't remember that one woman's name. She was a poet. She was going to college for poetry.
Kara?
Kara, yeah. She was one of the members of Just Good Friends, and she has a special place in my heart as being the most vulgar member of the truth. Yeah.
I'm disappointed in myself now, but I don't feel like letting loose right here.
Right.
The podcast, because I saw recently where you dropped what wasn't really even I would consider a swear word, but you had said, oh, it's the first time you've done that on your show. So.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna do it again.
All right.
Okay. So
like on purpose, or it just might happen?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna explain what happened.
Okay.
We I don't know if it was as a result of us doing what do they call it, first night in Saratoga.
Yes.
We got a gig in a Lutheran church, and we were told to be clean, squeaky clean. That's what the instruction was.
Okay.
And then we spent the entire rest of the night trying to keep all the mothers with small children in check with all their vulgar suggestions.
Right.
But but it was a squeaky clean show, and it was probably one of the funniest shows we did.
Yeah, I think that when we
It,
don't rely on that, that makes us work harder and it makes it more funny,
yeah.
not just, throwing F-bombs or whatever. Although sometimes you need to throw one
So,
because it fits.
sometimes it
It
fits.
fits.
So I don't know if it was related to that gig or not, but our director, Mike Wynn, um, decided that we were going to try to clean up our act a bit.
Oh, I didn't remember that.
Okay, yeah. This is when we were at the bar
O'Dwyer's.
O'Dwyer's,
Pub.
yeah,
Yeah.
O'Dwyer's Pub in Saratoga. That's where we would rehearse and perform. And he said we're going to make an effort to be much cleaner. And then the next show,
Uh-oh.
the very next show, we were clean the whole show until the last scene when it was Joe Minakawa
Yep.
and Kara,
Okay.
and they did a scene on a farm, and she transformed into a shit cannon where she was bending over with her behind toward the audience, miming bombing the audience with piles of poo.
Gosh, was I there? I don't have a memory. I might have a photo of that. I mean, I might have a photo of them.
Maybe.
I've actually
Yeah.
brought some photos
Okay.
with me.
All right.
I don't remember that specific position.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Well, I just remember, you know how they say you don't might not remember the details, but you remember how it made you feel.
yes.
I just remember having this Cheshire cat grin on my face because we had done a completely clean show,
Right.
and then the cherry on top
Just a little.
was
So that's
Kara
letting loose.
the shit cannon.
It could be a lot worse than that. I'm saying that.
I know.
Just seems
But it was such a great,
like dirty and disgusting more than raunchy or whatever.
yeah.
So.
But it was such a great moment. It really was.
So I have to tell you, when I don't know if you remember, I have a daughter, Rachel, and she's 28 now, but she was.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Yeah.
And somehow we're still like 30. But so years ago, you and I did a segment on the noon news or the afternoon news.
Yes.
One time to promote one of our shows, and we were doing the bit called Moving Bodies, where when we had the anchor and the weatherman, came over, and they could put our body, arms or whatever in any position, and then we had to carry on the scene. So it happened that they had picked your arms up. I don't know if you remember this.
Yes, yeah.
And my husband was also recording it in the days of VCRs, back in well, it wasn't the 1900s anymore, but it still felt like it. At the turn of the century, and your shirt got lifted up a little while you picked your arms up and exposing a little bit of your belly. And so from that point on, that's how my daughter knew you. So when I said, "Oh, I'm going to do this Rich's podcast," you remember Rich from Just Good Friends? And she said, even now, 20 some years later, yes, the one who showed his belly.
News Channel 10.
Yes. And we'd ask them, "Who are we?" And usually we meant like you're a grocer and a belly dancer or whatever. But they said you're Beyonce and Jon Stewart. And I think the Grammys, like that's the singing one, had just been on, and of course I hadn't watched. And at the time, I know now all the single ladies, but I didn't know who Beyonce was. Right. So it was a little tricky, and I'm like, something more generic. We got to Madonna somehow, because I'm like, if we're gonna sing, can we do something with like Madonna? Somebody I know. So
yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, we were on TV.
We were also, I don't think you were there this time. We did a radio spot on the oldies. I don't know if it was TRY at the time. It was Rick and Jamie in the morning.
Okay.
And it was I went, and Mike and Kara were there, and I can't remember if it was just the three of us. And I was kind of disappointed. I don't know if this is revealing like radio stuff, but I thought they were really gonna let like people call in and
Uh-huh.
like give us suggestions, but they just like pretended they were gonna do that and then came back from a commercial
Oh,
and then said,
really?
"Here, do a debate, uh, Pop Tarts versus cereal." And so that I have that memory of then, and then we were like doing the show, which was going to be on January 13th.
Uh-huh.
But I said, "Oh, and our show coming up on July 13th because that's Rachel's birthday." And then Kara was like, "January." I'm like, "January." That's right. It's very soon.
Yeah, yeah.
But that was still fun. Although we had to be there like super early in the morning,
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah.
I don't know if we got anybody at the show. It was often friends and family.
Right, right. Yeah.
Um, but we had some really good audiences and
You
good
did
good
have good
crowds.
audiences.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we're so popular, so we had so many friends and
Hmm.
family, like your grandmother, for
Yes,
example.
right. And our biggest competitor was Survivor. Our shows were on Thursday night,
Exactly.
and you would invite people to come to the show, and no can do. I got to watch Survivor,
I
and
That was frustrating,
yeah,
that people would choose that over live TV,
and
live
live
performance,
performance,
live
yeah.
performance.
And now what? 40 some seasons later, Survivor's still on the television, and my parents are still watching it.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
And O'Dwyer's Pub doesn't exist anymore,
yeah.
so I
That's
mean, it's
yeah,
some kind of, I mean, the building is there,
right.
but not any longer. But I have very many fine memories though. When I go up to Saratoga, my sister lives there, so whenever I drive by Spring Street,
Uh-huh.
I think of those times.
Yeah, it was I think was it last year or the year before? Uh um my friend Gritty and Mo
Okay,
um and I stayed up in Saratoga for 3 days
cool,
and did some Christmas shopping. And
nice.
as the hotel was like 2 blocks off of
Okay.
Broadway, and brought them by Spring Street, and so this is where we used to perform.
And were they like, "Oh, I see Ben and Jerry's. Let's
Uh,
go down there."
they're like, oh, yeah, yeah, thanks,
That's
Pastor.
great.
That's
Nice.
it's a
That's
building.
right.
Yeah,
That's
nice
nice.
building.
Right.
Of Gritty.
Neat.
Yeah,
That's pretty neat. And what do you try to stay in like a PG mode
yeah,
or
pretty much a PG.
PG?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And so we used to always end the episode the same way with a prayer, but we don't do
Oh,
that anymore because I'm separated the secular from the religious, and uh, so if I'm doing a religious podcast, it's called Iron Sharpens Iron,
okay.
and
That makes me think of Iron Chef. Just doing like a word association
yeah,
because you
yeah,
said
yeah, 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 and
because didn't you used to do those parties?
Iron Chef parties,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah, we did. I used to do Iron Chef parties. If you you go on to the Food Network's website and you look at their suggestions on how to do an Iron Chef party, it's almost verbatim of what I sent them in an email
Oh,
back at the turn of the
no
century.
kidding. Oh, because you said I'm doing these at home.
Yeah, I sent them pictures, and
Nice,
yeah,
nice.
no one ever reached out. Yeah,
No,
I
they're like,
thought.
this is good. Not gonna pay this dude,
Yeah, I
right?
thought maybe they might say, "Thanks for the email. This is a great idea," or something.
Or even like this was sent in by
Yeah, yeah,
fan so and so.
yeah. But yeah, pretty much. Uh,
Maybe you should tell them what it is. How you gave a group of people ingredients and they had to cook a
yes.
meal.
So I invited different people to be contestants, and I sent them the ingredients or the ingredient, the secret
Right,
ingredient,
right.
a week ahead of time. And so they could bring their dish already prepared as
Okay.
far as they wanted, and then there was a kitchen available for them to finish it. And
So was it like shrimp might have been an ingredient
the
or
first year was spinach.
spinach? Okay.
Yeah, but the second year was it walnut? I think.
So you said you have to make a dish with spinach, and that was
Yeah, spinach had to be in it.
spinach had to be in it.
Yeah, and my mother won. She made spinach balls.
It doesn't even seem fair to have your mother play though, because she's such a good cook.
Well,
Right.
we
For
started
the
getting
others.
accused of cheating because
Because you cook well.
well, then the next time we did it, my Uncle Bob won.
Was it just because the prize was $1 million? Is that how they from all the sponsors? Oh wait, it wasn't. It was just
No,
good.
no, it
It's
was
just good
bragging
job.
rights.
Not fair. People are
And
still mad no matter what.
so I didn't host the last one.
Okay.
My friend of mine, Gene, hosted it, and I ended up winning with the secret ingredient of lemon.
Wow.
And so my grandmother, my grandma Mastro, competed all 3 times. And when I won the last time, she had it. And she said, I taught all 3 of them how to cook, and I didn't win any of these. She was
Was
upset.
that the grandma that came to the show or a different?
Yes,
It
the
was.
same grandma. Yeah, yeah.
I didn't realize you guys were so competitive.
Well, I didn't know we were either
Yeah.
until that day.
Well, I know you get to a point where you want
Yeah.
a little bit of praise, so
Right,
you
right.
know, and then
So everyone would present their dishes, and I forgot how we did the judges. I don't know if I pre-selected the judges. I think I
and
might have.
then the rest of the people we all got to taste, right? I
Yeah,
don't know if I
yeah,
was a judge; it was just an audience. And,
yeah. After it was judged, then it would be put out, and everybody else could taste.
I remember that, and there was always like too much. You're like, I like a thing. Don't eat too much of this because you got X more dishes
Yeah,
coming.
yeah, right, yeah, yeah. So it was a lot of fun, and we did it with some fanfare, like um, the Iron Chef, and
Can I show you some of the pictures of her?
yes, yes, yes.
Speaking of the just good friends, I remember friend Betty had put together a like we had remember the Hilton Arts Center off
Oh,
the
the
Westgate
yes, the
Plaza.
Hilton Art Center.
Here we are.
Wow, look
This
at
was in the
my God.
yeah. I don't know if you can show that on your
Yeah,
camera. However, here's a bigger picture of us.
there we are.
When we did the Norries, that
Yeah.
advertising agency, and we
Oh my
went to
God.
their award show.
Look at how.
I still have that purple shirt. I couldn't find it. I was gonna wear it if I could find it.
Wow.
But who are those youngsters?
I know.
And I think other than Mike, he wasn't in the group anymore. I think I was like the grandmother of the group.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was already in my 30s then.
Yeah, I was in my 30s too, right? Yeah. Wow.
Yep.
So is the Hilton Art Center still around or
Sure. I'm not sure. But the woman who owned it and ran it, Ginger Miller, she's in her 80s now.
Okay.
And she's still doing stuff. And I went to, I think it was last year? She was being honored in an event. And I can't remember where I came across, but there was a big band music, live band playing and some singers, and it might have been like something at the Desmond. Because she was very involved in not only having this theater, she really built it for music to be a music venue. And her son was a musician in different aspects, different bands, so it was interesting to see her after all that time. And then she said she remembered me. Whether she did or not, I'm not sure, but I was like, Ginger. It was so so it was a neat,
right, yeah,
neat place to have. And I don't think I brought, let me see, I was bringing some it's making me feel nostalgic. I don't know if I brought it, but one of the things I came across, she used to split the door with us.
Oh, that's right.
We were, like making enough money to like pay a venue. I can't remember. On one of the things, I don't know if I brought it, I came across like a slip where we split the door with her. I don't know if I have it. And it was like a little receipt she had.
Oh,
I don't know, I think I brought everything else but the kitchen sink. Oh no, maybe it's here. And then whatever, there might be 7 of us, so then we would split the rest of it. So here was here's that January 13th show that I said was July 13th.
okay.
Happens to be that show. And that was whatever, 60, 80 some odd people. That was
wow.
So that was a good haul. And whoever was on the door, I think we were charging $10 or $8 if you were like a senior or student. But it says here one at $5. Said last person in, late, elderly, and broke. Such your grandma again. What was going on?
No.
No, I know she wasn't there. So
Yeah.
I thought that was that
Right.
was cute when I came across that. I'm trying so hard to get rid of papers, but then everything I see has a memory attached to it for me.
Yeah.
Here's you and Liz.
Oh, well,
And
okay.
we can look at these later because I know the viewer listeners aren't gonna care about our photos.
2001.
Yeah. And here I found these. You can have these and do whatever you want with it. You can have there's a little memory for you.
Oh, thank you
Guess I
very
had,
much.
that was those Nori folks. So I'll
Just
put that
good
together.
friend.
Yeah. I knew somewhere in there is a picture of Kara. I think it was Kara and Joe. When you said that, I'm thinking there's a Kara and Joe picture in
Okay.
here,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it made me think, is that the yeah, here we are. That's me. I'm gonna make that up. Meg. Remember Meg?
Yeah.
All that stuff. I don't know. I might be making that up. We're not gonna find one of Kara. I almost felt like it was a black and white, or maybe you just had the here's just somebody else bending over. We don't need to show that. I maybe just imagined that Kara was there.
Right, yeah, okay,
She got kind of when you said that, the whole
That might have been the canon.
somebody was bending over, but we didn't. It's not in that one. But if we, run out of ideas of things, to say, which I don't think we would, but what I also found in this other bag is you remember the bit we did, which was called Pick a Line, where we would be doing a scene and we'd have the audience fill out slips of paper. They could write a sentence, and then while we were doing the scene, we would just reach into the bag and pull out and say one of our
Right,
lines
yeah,
would be what
yeah.
they read, and we had to incorporate that in. So what do I, when I tell you I'm saving everything, I've saved everything. So in here
Oh, no, really?
is a bag of, but these were, maybe, I don't know if this was for me. These are typed. So I don't
Okay.
know like why that is, or what we were doing that we would have had them typed as opposed to audience
Right,
suggestions.
yeah, yeah.
I don't have any memory of that. But there are things in here. So I don't know if you want to tell me a story and pick one
Well,
out.
yeah, I mean,
Make
why don't we
use
just,
of it.
why don't we just,
We can try it.
you do it,
Yeah, do it.
We're,
See
in
if our
an
brains are working.
interview, and,
Okay, so
come on, baby, light my fire.
hey, absolutely.
Yeah.
I can totally get that. Although it does feel toasty enough in here
Mm-hmm.
right now, since we're keeping it PG, I think. What do we
Well, I mean, we can always edit anything
Oh, we
out
can-
or bleep
we
anything.
start singing, come on, baby,
You
light
light
my
my
fire. Well, what I really
fire.
think about that is look at the time.
Oh, well, you're not going to bail on me that quick because, I just remember you always had a millions of spiders eat me.
Oh.
And that was really irritating.
I thought you were a fan of the
No,
insects.
no,
So
I was very allergic to spiders, and
that doesn't seem like
I-
me at all. But I got the impression,
Uh-huh.
because when you told me give back my underwear.
Oh. Well,
I don't know why spiders came to mind of that.
Well,
maybe I thought it was like underoos, like Spider-Man, like little boy. I don't know.
I don't know,
it's
but
getting a little
I
weird.
think that we were going, we were trying to expand our horizons, and
Could have been.
that, I mean, now 25 years later, I mean, gender is just so fluid at this
True,
point. I mean,
true.
it wouldn't even have been an issue, but we always
That's
have
a
to
good point.
remember, ooh, that feels good when,
Yeah.
we talk about gender,
Yes.
because we have come so far. We've come so far. We've come a long way, baby. That's right.
Oh, is that what?
That's right. And that's why I smoke Virginia Slims.
Oh, you're doing a whole commercial now. I thought you stopped smoking.
Yeah, I did.
You did stop smoking. Yeah, because I feel about smoking. When I come across a smoker, that's not a thing. That's a ticket. When I come across a smoker, I say, buy me expensive jewelry.
Well,
because that's a better use of the money
I
than
know,
cigarettes that are bad for your health.
But you're so picky that I mean, I bought you rings, I bought you earrings, I bought you necklaces
Yeah, you can't even
and
think of what it is you want
brooches,
me.
and you're always
Brooches.
complaining, you always say that everything you do turns to shit. And so,
It's like a cannon. It's like a blown.
it's like a Kara shit cannon.
Because like
Every
I was
time I
thinking,
buy something
well, are you
from
buying it or was it like prizes like from Chuck E. Cheese? Because there was a lot of plastic in there, and I'm not even a big jewelry person. You know, I basically
uh-huh.
have like my wedding rings, and then I'm usually just wearing a few hair bands.
Well,
I'm kind of basic like that, so maybe you
I
got
just
the
thought
idea.
that you would have loved that ring where you blew into it and went. "Vroom."
I have to say that was a piece that I did enjoy, and I never knew what to to get you back. You know, when
Uh-huh.
I would think, and I'd be like, what would I get, Rich? Like, what would he want? What would he say to me? And I thought it would be like, why do I keep picking these? This says, "Whoa, I love your ass." I do. My ass was better back in the day. You know,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have
so
one of
was
my
mine,
my leggings
yeah,
thing that I
yeah.
saw on there. It's not terrible now, but
Uh,
it's going towards like my knees. I'm trying to reach the back of my knees now. I don't know. They're trying to have a meeting back there. I don't know why.
Well, you've always just always leaned on the inappropriate, and I know that you've seen several different counselors about this, and the last one told me that I hate when that happens, and so I asked, could you please clarify what that
Yeah.
means, and she said, buy me expensive jewelry.
They that's everybody's go-to.
And
Yeah.
scene.
Man, I could have said anything. I can't see the line. I'm so honest.
Yeah, yeah.
That was kind of fun, don't
That
you think?
was fun. It was
And
fun.
we don't have the, we can have the audience next time write in their
Right,
lines.
yeah.
But I thought that would be, because I couldn't throw it out. I thought maybe
Mhm.
we could make use of it one more
Yeah,
time. I'm just gonna make a mess of your floor here
that's okay.
as I throw my stuff around. That was fun. That makes me feel like young and that I can sort of think off the top of my head
Right,
on
I
that one.
know. Yeah.
It's been different when I was doing the theater, like way back in 1999.
Uh-huh.
I had tried out for a community theater play, after I haven't didn't do anything since high school, also in the 1900s. And I didn't get the role, and then right after that, I auditioned for Just Good Friends and got in the
Hmm.
troupe, and it was scary to just make up stuff off the top of your head. It could
Yeah,
be.
yeah.
And then I got back in and started doing some community theater, and then I found it scary to do that because I had to say the exact lines in the script because people were expecting me to say that. But I did find that having the improv background was helpful because I knew that I could improvise in the moment, and it was really important also to know the story of what the play was.
Right,
So if
yeah.
you're in a play with someone and they're just like, well, you have to say that line and I say this line, and if you don't say that exactly, I'm a deer in the headlights. Like
Yeah,
you got
yeah.
to know the story so you can work around it and prompt someone if they get lost, because
Right, yeah.
that has happened even to me. I'm up there. I'm like, what play are we doing? Oh, I don't know what. I knew these earlier today.
Yeah.
And,
I was in a play and I had to memorize the entire speech of the
Gettysburg Address or no?
the man I was acting with in a
Okay.
scene, because he would say the speech differently every single time.
Uh,
So I kind of, it was a rhythm thing. So he would say it, and it wouldn't be it'd be in a different order every night. And when I would get that, when I would sense that he'd hit that
deviating.
last beat, I would pick up my cue. Yeah,
That really kept you on your toes.
yeah, that did keep me on my
The
toes.
last play when I did Barefoot in the Park, the lead that played I don't know if you know the story, this young married couple, and they were, it was a fabulous, the cast. I mean, not just myself. I mean, my castmates were really great, and she was terrific, and
Mm-hmm.
of course, like knew her lines and knew the stuff like off book right away, and it really into the character. And the during tech week, she developed laryngitis.
Oh,
So right in the end, when we're really getting down to it, so the assistant director was reading. She was lips, syncing basically,
uh-huh.
but he had this deep voice, and she's a 25-year-old, and of course he's reading from the script. I mean, she was pretty like on target, but of course he was completely on target because he was reading from the script,
Right,
and
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like, we don't really know what she's gonna say when her voice comes back. And luckily, her voice, did come back, but that was
yeah.
a little bit of excitement there.
Right, right. And I'm very excited that we're doing this
Great.
show. And so I didn't like lead us in.
Okay.
Um but like when did you start getting involved in theater?
Well, I did theater in high school. I mean, I
Hmm.
was the rooster in a play in first grade.
Okay. All right.
I don't have any memory of that, but I do have a picture of me in some sort of tie-dye rooster.
Okay.
And then in high school, I kind of had bit parts. I tend to um, play the character roles,
Hmm.
and so I did, that, and that was fun. And also in drama club and did the tickets and publicity and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then, whatever life rolled forward, and I can't remember when I might have first. That if I auditioned for something before, like I got involved with Just Good Friends, or if
Uh-huh.
that was really my first foray back. So that was really in 1999.
Okay.
My daughter was 3, and I really needed to, I was working full time and momming full time, all that full time stuff,
Hmm.
and I wanted to do, something different, something extracurricular, and
Yeah, yeah.
that's what led me to theater, and then the Just Good Friends, and then I kind of went back and forth, and
Right, yeah. Yeah, so I went to school for theater and I was too chicken to follow up with it.
well, it's hard to make a living
It is
though. It's
hard to
hard to
make a
make a
living.
living
Yeah,
at it.
yeah. And then now the business is so different. I have a friend that went back to New York in his 50s to try to get into acting, and he's gotten some decent work.
Great.
Uh, I mean, small, very small parts,
Yeah,
but he's worked himself up to speaking parts, and he's been on a Netflix movie and a Hallmark movie,
that's
and
pretty cool.
now he's living down in Florida because you don't have to be in one of the centers anymore because of social media and Zoom and
Yep.
everything like
Yep.
that. So he's still getting work and probably spending 75% less to live.
Interesting. So does he
Yeah.
get work? Does he then travel to a place, or is he
Yes.
doing? Oh,
Yeah.
right. So he's not just doing voiceovers or something
Right.
like
Yeah. He does
that.
a few voiceovers and
I
yeah.
keep telling my husband, who is, he was in a computer field and now he's a handyman. But
Hmm.
when we watch, TV shows or movies where like the producers, the husband, and it's a vehicle for the wife, I keep saying to him, like, why haven't you written me and produced the sitcom for me? I mean, of course, he finds that absurd, but and he's like, you're the writer. Why don't you? I've been telling you to write for years. I'm like,
Right.
but these people, because I just think that would be fun,
Right. Yeah.
to be on a sitcom. Um, it
Yeah.
just seems like it would be. Might be grueling. Years ago, when I was a kid, and I would do skits at camp and things like
Hmm.
that, and even work, people would be like, "Oh, you should be on Saturday Night Live," and maybe I could have, done that when I was younger. But now the whole idea of I
Yes.
think
Yeah.
that's too much of a grind. And then
Right.
when I found out, oh, you got to come up with your own characters, like I could act out your scene and be funny,
Uh-huh.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
all those impersonations or whatever they do, and
Hmm. Yeah, well, a lot of the folks on Saturday Night Live come out of Chicago,
yes, the
the
improv.
Second City and Improv Olympic, and the one guy that we were in just good friends with, Joe
Yeah.
Minakawa, was on several teams with Second City,
Oh,
and
neat,
yeah,
neat.
yeah,
I didn't,
yeah,
I didn't know that. That's
yeah.
that's really cool. And our good, we'll just call her our improv colleague, even though we didn't really do improv with her. Julia Louis Dreyfus, who came out of Chicago. She has a podcast, but she has a podcast, you have a podcast, so it's like we're
Uh-huh.
basically in the same industry.
Right, yeah.
And I listened to her
Uh-huh.
because she has, I don't know if you know, she has a podcast called Wiser Than Me. And she interviews older women who are
Okay.
she says, who are wiser than her, but she's
Hmm.
talks about her background and sounds just like you would imagine
Yeah.
she would sound. So, but she had talked about that. I think she had dropped out of Northwestern
Okay.
and went into improv. I mean, never mind that like she's an heiress and a billionaire before all that, but I had actually wanted to go to Northwestern when I was a child,
Hmm.
because Anne Margaret, the actress. So now that you say this, I guess I always wanted to be an actress.
Okay.
Anne Margaret was in Bye Bye Birdie,
Uh-huh.
and somehow, even though I don't sing, She, I had found out, unless I'm making all of this up, but in my mind, she had went to Northwestern University, which is in
Okay.
Chicago. So I was thinking that's probably where I'm gonna go
Hmm.
one day, so that I can be an actress.
Uh-huh.
But it turned out that I went to SUNY Binghamton and was a
Okay.
business major, which is, similar.
Well, I mean, it is it is in the south of the state. You could always tell people you went to Southwestern.
They're Southwestern,
Yeah,
Northwestern.
you
So
can't get any more south than that in New
I
York.
think it did work out to be a good choice for me. I don't think I was going to
Okay.
make it big as an actress. I don't know. I don't
Who
know.
knows, you know?
We wouldn't know, but I did, I did think of that, one
Uh-huh.
day, when I was younger, like that would be like a path and it would be fun.
Hmm. Yeah.
Seems like that time is dwindling, at this point, but
Well,
if anybody wants to discover me now,
right, right. Likewise.
that's right.
Yeah.
We come individually or as a pair.
Yeah. Like the dogs.
Dogs.
Oh, well, let's show everybody my new
Oh,
dogs.
that's an awesome idea.
Yeah. All right, come on,
Somebody
up,
come,
up.
come on, Mike, come up.
Go ahead.
There we go.
There we go.
Look at those puppies.
Look at those
Aren't they
puppies.
sweet?
Look at this is Lara, and this is Spencer. This is the new addition to the Moran family.
Little puppy.
We got them last week. We drove out to Connecticut, and yeah, it's a new adventure. The only issue is that they go outside and they sniff and they run and they play and they bark and they run and play and do everything but go to the bathroom. And so they decided that they want to go to the bathroom in the house.
Maybe I should put the dog down now if that's what happened. They just went outside and ran
Well,
around.
she may
So
have
they're
gone.
about to go to the
She...
bathroom on me. Welcome to the podcast. Are we going to be good friends? She's like, you didn't call my agent about this. I
Right,
don't
right,
know.
yes.
She
Yeah.
looks like a stuffed animal now.
I know. She doesn't she look
Is
like a
it the
stuffed
lights?
animal?
Is it the lights? Look at your brother.
Are you stunned?
Yeah. Like, I didn't know she was
She is a
gonna take me
little
out. Yeah,
stunned.
yeah, it's a little.
And Spencer always seems like he just smoked a joint.
Eyes do look a little.
So, he's like,
Okay.
whatever. They're both very sweet.
Yes, they are.
So, No Name Yet podcast. These are the new dogs, and we certainly still miss Sally very much. So,
And I'm just a mystery guest.
well, I'm gonna
Yes.
edit this in, so
Understood.
you've already been introduced.
Gotcha.
That's right. Right.
Okay.
Okay.
So I really didn't get back to the theater
Mhm.
until till I was doing it as an adult or an older adult. And then it seemed like I'd go out and they wanted like older people and I was younger. And then now I'm older and they want the younger people. And so it's
Yeah, yeah.
and when I went to do Fools in fall of 2022, I had actually done the same show like 17 years before.
Okay.
2000, whatever year that would have been. 5, I think it was. And then I was played this time when I auditioned, I played the part of the mother of the character that I played. And the guy that had played against me, then he was the one that let me know about it. That's how I found that rural theater.
Okay, all right.
And he said, "Oh, I'm trying out." Yeah, I'm sure. He said, "I'm sure we could be Leon and Sophia again, but I'm trying out for, the parents." So I said, "Oh, what the heck?" Even though I'm like 30 minutes to get there, and it's so far over the river. I had to go over the river. And then I went. It would be fun, and it would be fun to play again with
Right.
Bill, which was really neat. And so I was like, if I get it, but I was surprised how quickly I auditioned, and then it was, oh, I really want the part. I went in going, oh, this will be fun. If I get it, it's okay. And then I'm like, I hope they pick me.
Yeah.
That does, I was surprised, but I was so happy. And then it turns out the director, who knew Bill. Bill's like lives in that community. Because you have to, if you're going to do a lot of theater there, since it's so far out, your horse can only go so far, right? In the dark and the rain and so the director knew him, but he hadn't realized that we had like acted before. So then I especially liked that, so it wasn't like it wasn't like a favor to Bill or something.
Okay,
And
yeah.
then I'm thinking, if it was, that happens, right? I always want to be one of those precast people. Why not? It happens to others.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, why not?
the hard business. Thankfully, we're not trying to make a living out of it. And then one of my favorite things, because you came to see me in other, I was in plays,
Yeah.
years ago, and other, smaller, this theater actually has its own, it was a former church, has its own,
Hmm.
it's an art center, so they do other things. They have music there and crafts, and Santa comes and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And usually the other theater I've done, we're just using the space at a church,
Hmm.
renting it out, and it's not,
Yeah.
opening up the chairs, and it's, makeshift. So it was kind of like fun to be in one of those. And I
Yeah.
did do something at Schenectady Civic. I think you saw me in that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Becky's new car, that I wore like a red wig on, and I hadn't told my husband, but I was pretty sure he would recognize me. But I did tell him, like, I'm in the opening scene of Act Two. I didn't want him to go the whole show and be like, where is she?
Hmm. Yeah.
But one of my favorite things is when you've come to see the shows, and then at least like once or twice you say to me, "Oh, I always love seeing you up on stage," and that
Yeah.
just makes me, feel really happy, because you are one of my favorite people, even though
Oh,
I hardly, see you.
yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, life is busy, and
mhm.
how we get swept up in it. But we have those memories and the opportunities to go, and when you are on stage, I really enjoy it.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh.
because you are very funny. Have you done a serious play or?
I haven't. I don't think I, not that I couldn't, because I would tried talk to the director who did Barefoot in the Park, and I
Uh-huh.
told him, like, I don't know that I can do serious. And he's like, "Oh, you definitely could, because you have the whole timing." And then I think what it is I don't want to.
Yeah.
Um because I do the theater for like a pleasant, like, I guess I'm not like theater enough. Like, you
Hmm.
went to school for it, so it's like a more serious, so you want to see the drama or whatever. I mostly really only want to see, not only comedies, but I would prefer to see lighthearted things.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
just especially in these times. So if I'm doing it, well, thank you for saying a very funny person. My husband would be like, "Oh yeah, she's a laugh a minute." So, that flip side of the,
Uh-huh.
Tears of a Clown. I'm a very emotional person and feel things very deeply. So, I just want to do when I'm, crying enough about the news and other stuff.
Hmm.
So when I do those plays, I'd rather it be something, like silly and
Right. Yeah.
fun,
Yeah.
where, you can laugh while you're doing it. And I'm sure even if you're doing drama plays,
Hmm.
there's the behind the scenes and the camaraderie with the cast,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you would get that. But, if it was the, like, I don't know what the right role would be, that if somebody thought I could do some whatever it is, I
Hmm.
would certainly.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not in a position where I'm like, no, no. I don't know.
You're, you're reading and rejecting
That's right. I'm like,
scripts
geez,
left
I
and
don't
right.
like
Yeah.
this. What is this on Golden Pond? Never heard of it.
Um, but yeah, I mean, there is a certain point to that, because I mean, like a lot of comedies. I mean, a serious play is going to have a rhythm, but I mean, if you there's just certain thing, there's certain rhythms and certain punctuations that you are looking for in a comedy that
Yep.
is just so satisfying when you get it right.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. And also
yeah,
when you hear the other people, and it just, when you can laugh when the other cast is making you laugh, and you've done it so many
right, yeah,
times,
yeah, yeah.
that's just, it just feels so good. And
Hmm.
it's always interesting too when you're doing it for an audience. And I remember even when we were doing the improv, which is different because you don't know what it's going to be.
Right,
So
yeah,
you're not
yeah.
like, well, how will they react? This is supposed to be funny. We don't even know what we're going to say. But how different people find different things funny. So
Uh-huh.
even in a play, the audience one night will be just cracking up,
Hmm.
and then the other next night somebody's quiet, or they're laughing at certain lines but not other lines, and or we're expecting them to laugh at something, and they're like, they laughed at that.
Yeah,
Why
yeah.
is that funny? um so that I find that, interesting. And you want the people to laugh too, because then you're back there when you don't hear it. You think like, all right, just make like I'm doing it, like there's nobody out there. It's a dress rehearsal. Don't
Mhm.
let it, get under your skin, because we're like, they're not. don't think it's funny.
Yeah,
You know, you lose your mojo.
I
You can
know.
lose
Yeah.
your mojo.
This is a tangent, but
Mhm.
the one time I went to go see Lewis Black with my family
Okay.
in Albany, and it was uh, it was early in Trump's first term, and
Okay.
the whole act is just very low key, you know.
Okay.
But he's telling his jokes, and I wish I could remember the joke,
Right. Right.
but I'm the only person that laughed in the theater, and
Yeah.
he like motioned in my direction and said, "Thank
Yeah.
you.
It's more than the
That's
Iron Chef
supposed to
people
be
did.
funny. Thank you for getting
Substantially.
that joke."
Well, you know something else I think about actually myself that it's hard to make me laugh out loud.
Uh-huh.
So I could be at a show and really think it's funny and really enjoy myself, but I am not laughing out loud,
Yeah,
but I
yeah,
am finding it funny.
right.
So
Yeah.
when we had to just, even when we did the like improv or, maybe a show where I didn't think certain lines were funny. And then I'd say, to Jeff, my husband, like people were laughing and he just goes, people will laugh at anything. And I'm like, no, no, it's because we're talented and funny. There's something about that Neil Simon wrote it. And in fact, Fools itself is it's not like a typical Neil Simon. It's a very silly, it's very,
Hmm.
it's a farce where everybody in this town, thinks they're a fool and there's a curse on it. And, even my husband and I, like, we're teaching our daughter who's like 19 to sit down and we don't know how to sit. So, like, when we sit, we're very tentative about,
Uh-huh.
sitting down very slowly. And, there's slapsticky stuff. And that's not even a type of humor I even like. So I do remember now I wanted to do it again with Bill, but I'm like, oh, that play again? Like, I don't
Uh-huh.
even think I thought that was funny. But somehow, I don't know if it was that many years later or the point of life I was at or the
Hmm.
crew that was doing it. But I was like, oh, I can see now this is a, funny show, but it is like a
Yeah.
certain kind of humor. And my daughter has always tended to like that kind of stuff. And
Uh-huh.
I think one of the shows she had come home a little bit early, it was just around Thanksgiving, so she had some time off, and so she got to see it, and I knew she would like that because you want to be in a show
Hmm.
that you're be like, I don't know, you guys, I'm in a show, like, should people come? I don't know. And or like even other people in the cast were like, we read this, and like you read it and you're like, this isn't that funny. But some people,
Right.
read
Yeah.
it and think it's hilarious right off the bat. So
Yeah.
it's just that's a
Well,
interesting part.
my Nifu, Spencer.
Okay.
Um,
Oh, I like Nifu.
yeah,
Because I've heard nibbling, and I don't care for the nibbling because that sounds like a little nosh. I'm having a snack.
yeah, yeah. There's
Nifu.
Sib Kid
Yep.
also.
Okay, Sip Kid. Good,
Yeah,
good.
yeah. Actually, I asked her, what she would prefer or what they would prefer,
Okay.
and we all decided on Sib Kid, but
Okay.
Nifu has worked its way in.
Okay.
So yeah. So anyway,
Okay.
Spencer was the man who came to dinner.
Yes, I saw that on Facebook. I didn't see
Yeah.
the actual show.
And I was helping them run lines, and I was laughing out loud at how funny that script is. That script
Yeah.
is absolutely hilarious. And Spencer did a great job playing a middle-aged man.
Nice. Well, from what I've seen of Spencer online, Spencer can do just about anything, as
Hmm.
well as their brother. They seem to be they got a dynamic duo family out
Yeah.
there. Unless it's just Facebook fabulous. That's what a friend of ours has used that term. Because
Uh-huh.
when you see like on Facebook, you're like, wow, everybody's living their best life, and I'm like, can't get out of a chair without
Right, right,
but
yeah.
sometimes you're
Yeah.
presenting the cool things,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, when it comes to Spencer,
Yeah.
with the all the dance and the
Yep.
theater performances, she's doing some great things, and
They
hopefully,
are doing some great
yeah,
things.
they are
They're
doing
doing
some.
some
Thank
great
you
things.
for catching that.
It's
Yeah,
uh
Spencer knows that their uncle
yep.
struggles with the pronouns.
Yes.
Yeah. So, oh, uh, let's cut to a video.
should I make you put on the grumpy hat? I mean, that seems like how does that fit in here?
So what do you think of the video?
I just wonder if you've had some frustrations that you'd like to talk about. I just like I was, I was just thinking, how does this fit in here?
It doesn't.
Okay.
I
or was it my talk about like my, mothering, like the fierceness that I'm like a fierce mother and would protect my.
Well, it does
my
fit in
cub?
with that. Yeah,
It
yeah.
does. We were talking about things that we think are funny, and
So that came up yesterday at work, and when I was going over my notes, I'm like, I'm gonna throw the hippo video in.
wow.
Yeah.
My daughter and her, she has a friend that follow Fiona the hippo at I believe it's the Cleveland Zoo.
Okay.
But Fiona's not out in the wild, so I don't think she has to uh, kill any other
Okay.
wildlife to
And
survive.
for those that are listening to audio only, it's a video which can be seen on TikTok at least up until what, January, whatever, when they're supposed to shut it down. Um, and a leopard tries to get at this baby hippo, and the mother becomes incensed.
An
and
angry hippo.
An angry hippo, and chases the leopard, and then jumps and smashes it
So
by landing on it.
So it's not, it's not the version of Hungry Hungry Hippo that you might have played
No,
as a kid.
this is not a pink hippo.
No, and it's not like gently,
No.
smacking it. It's not,
No, it goes down with its shoulder and squashes the leopard.
Yeah, I was surprised because when you
Yeah.
said, "Hey," I like thought you were gonna say, "Tell me about your colonoscopy." That's what that's what I thought you were
Well,
gonna say.
would you like to tell us about your
God.
colonoscopy? Did you ever watch King of the Hill?
Not often, but I know.
Well, there's this great episode where he doesn't have bowel movement for a week,
Okay.
and they're doing a colonoscopy, and he's awake,
Okay.
and his wife Peg and his son was Bobby are in the room watching it on the TV, and Peg is like, I think her name's Peg.
Okay.
Oh my God, the suspense is just it's so exhilarating. You're on each and every corner, we're just waiting.
That's an excellent segue. Okay.
Okay, all right.
Because so my colonoscopy, this was a couple years ago. So this was I was in rehearsals for Barefoot in the Park, and it was in January 2023, and I went and had my colonoscopy, and this was after I was not awake.
Okay.
That I knew of. And afterwards, I was the nurse had said to me, I recommend you get dressed after still sitting in the chair. And so I was sitting in a chair, and then there was a chair next to me with a plastic bag with my clothes in it. And my first thought was like, not everybody can, I was thinking my late mother, and it's like hard, some people might have trouble like getting dressed, and even like being, sitting down in a chair or whatever, it might be like troublesome. This was just what came to mind.
Yeah.
My second thought was, when did I get in this chair? I had my last memory was the doctor saying, "Do you have any questions?" And I kind of had a question. I think I wanted to ask about the anesthesia, but I didn't know like what to ask. And I'm like, no. And the next thing I know, it's like, yeah. So then I got dressed, and I was so glad I was wearing these like fake Crocs, so I didn't have to tie shoelaces, because I'm not good at that, even if I haven't been sedated. And she walks me out to Jeff was downstairs in the car, because at the time with COVID stuff, they still weren't letting people stay in the waiting room. And then she says to me, "Oh, do you want, is it okay if he signs these papers?" And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
And then I'm like, how am I going to get in? He as a forerunner, and I'm so little. I'm like, how am I going to get up there? And they like help me in. And then I'm like reading the stuff from the paper. And then it's like, I'm finding out what they give me. There's like a little bit of fentanyl. And Jeff was like, "Oh, let's go out to eat." And I'm like, I'm like exhausted. I got to go to sleep or whatever.
Yeah.
And he told me later, which I didn't know, that while we're driving home, I guess my head just dropped down. But then all of a sudden I picked back up and was talking to him. So I had no memory of that. Although that night after I napped, I still had him drive me to rehearsal. That's how crazy dedicated I am. Wow. I was like, "Oh, I don't want to miss rehearsal." And, probably not the best choice. I mean, that was okay, but
Mm-hmm.
so fast forward to in December, it's time for Jeff to get his. They let me stay in the waiting room,
Mm-hmm.
and they're calling, fine, we'll bring him out. He's totally, he's completely with it. Like he could have performed the thing. He doesn't seem
Oh,
groggy.
really?
He's all out. He's like, I'm ready. She's telling me, I think I also had to sign. I don't, if I signed my paperwork also, I have no memory of that. But
Okay.
they patient signed, and then whatever, driver, there was another thing for me, and I'm trying to read the stuff, and she's like, we're going to send you home with that. And I'm like, okay, but if I have a how's that going to help me if I have a question? All right, I'm going to read
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
I'm signing, I'm reading it. He's like, oh, let's go to the diner. He's all hopped up. I'm exhausted. I don't know why. He did all the prep, and I'm
Right,
like, I
yeah.
got to go up early and drive him there and wait, and
Uh-huh.
worry and stuff like that. We're in the diner. He's telling me he's awake, and I think he was awake the first time he had one too. Awake the whole time, watching it. He even said to them, "Did you sedate me?" And I'm thinking, probably. I'm like, could you feel like a camera going up or whatever?
Yeah.
And he was asking him, how long is my intestine? I'm like, well, that was probably fun for
Yeah.
them.
Right, right, yeah.
But I don't know. I guess there's probably other people that might not know that they're talking, like they don't have a memory of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, and then he's even like, what are we having for dinner? One of my least favorite questions during breakfast. Like, he's like, I don't know, we got to go to the store and buy stuff. I'm like, we do? Like now? And he goes, well, I'm not allowed to drive today, so I can't go out later. And I'm like, well, I could. I really needed a nap, Rich. But we didn't. We got into Price Chopper,
Uh-huh.
and he's like, do you want this for dinner? And I'm just like, I just want a nap. But luckily he's just like the Energizer Bunny and collected his stuff. And
Well, good for him. Because
yeah.
I look forward to the colonoscopy just for the sedation. I mean, I really enjoy drifting off and then
Yeah.
waking up the next moment. I
No,
mean, I
that's
just think that that is just such a cool experience. And then I come home and get a great afternoon
yeah,
nap.
yeah,
Yeah.
that is smart. Not that guy. I mean, he just had, and then we went
He's
home.
ready to take on the world.
I don't know. I went and I looked at his paperwork they gave him. This no, he's a big guy. He's 6'3", so I don't know
Uh-huh.
if he needed more or what.
Yeah.
But I went up and passed out, and I think he like laid down on the couch, and somehow he still couldn't sleep, which I thought was mighty weird.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
good. Good for him.
Right.
All came out good. I had promised you that because I had asked you when we were here that maybe your podcast would launch my
Uh-huh.
stand-up comedy career, which was a joke. And
Uh-huh.
then you were like, write 3 to 5 minutes of material. I'm like, I don't have any material. And so then I said, it's more like, then you tried to, get me down to 2 minutes. Try 2 minutes. I'll write some too. We'll both bond together. I'm like, who are we bonding with? We can't tell. We could say we were great.
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
if I was to do that, I would need I'd need a reaction. So then I was like, I do like more like I only have stories like my
Hmm.
colonoscopy. So that's when you said we'll talk about that. So
Yeah.
I bet I was on pins and needles every time you're like, I'm gonna introduce you. Here's a video. Uh-oh.
Well, I think we're getting to that time where we're going to wrap up the episode.
Awesome.
You'll have to come on again. And when this season
Yeah.
started, I had mentioned to the audience that I want to do a soap opera. And I have asked Robin if she would be a part of it. And
Mhm.
we are still working on the soap opera. So we're going to try and improvise a soap opera from beginning to end and then release it into different episodes. So just keep that in the back of your minds because for
It's
some
coming. It's coming at some point.
yeah, for some reason
Yeah.
we all became much busier than we ever could imagine when we were living our lives in the 1980s with no computers and cell phones. But somehow every minute of our lives has been taken up by something that needs to get done now. So
Yeah.
before we end, could you get out the slips of paper again?
I sure can.
And
I dumped some of them back in. I hope we did. We get a repeat.
That's
I'll have to
okay.
shove it back. What are we doing here?
But we're going to be doing a I'm going to switch the video to black and white.
Okay.
And we're going to do one of those esoteric movies,
like a noir thing, or something?
like that makes no sense, but is that people think are a piece of art.
Sort of like a soap opera.
Sort of. So just dip in, take and deliver the line to each other, and
we're gonna start that way. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just gonna take a few, and we can act however we want. So look at the time.
It's an amazing time, and I'm amazed to be able to be here with you. And I just want to tell you from the bottom of my heart, you're fired!
I'm moving to Seattle.
That threat again. You really think I'm gonna fall for it again?
Why are you firing me again? I devoted my whole life to you and your peanut farm.
And yet, how many peanuts did you abscond with and sell to unworthy sources?
Where's the bar, matzo boy?
Oh, I often wonder that myself.
Matzo girl.
Matzo people. We're back to the matzo people again? Well, Friday night is too far away. I mean, it's hours from now. It's hours. How can we make it? I'm reconsidering firing you if you'll work with me again.
There's nowhere else I'd rather be.
Well, shut up, asshole.
And scene.
And it's like these were written. See how I get the potty mouth ones even when I'm not even trying.
I know. Well,
I wish I'd gone with "Find Me a Battery." It was fun. I might make Jeff play at home.
Yeah. Well, Robin, thank you so much for being on the No Name Yet podcast.
Thank you for having me. It was so fun to see you.
And yes, likewise. And we'll be looking to see Robin again. And
you want to show your belly for Rachel? I love it.
Good night.